Hello folks. Okay, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the final exam so folks have a chance to start getting prepped for it. I don't think there should be too many big surprises here. So, obviously it covers everything from the course, so all of the lecture material, all of the lab material. Don't forget that the Q&A sessions, the lab sessions that we meet on Zoom are part of the course. So the stuff from the lab Q&As, the stuff from the lecture Q&As, that can crop up. It's worth 25% of your overall grade. You have to pass the final exam to pass the course. And it'll be the same general format as the quizzes. It's going to be offered over VIU Learn, so you'll be taking it in the same format. It'll be available for 12 hours. The university has got it scheduled for an official 3-hour period on December 16th to make sure that you have a conflict-free time. But again, it's available for that full 12 hours, and you've got 3 hours to do the exam once you begin. Unlike the quizzes, I think I will set this up so that the questions are in a fixed order and you can go forward or backwards, so you can move past a question and then come back to it later on. Okay, so the questions themselves, they're going to be longer answer formats. There's not going to be any of the multiple choice or short answer questions. These are mostly either discussion questions or fairly applied questions. A number of them are going to be based on the project or on things that we've talked about and done in the class, so examples that we've worked through in class, things like some of the bash scripts that we've worked through in class. So the plan right now is to have 9 questions for a total of 150 marks. So they'll be worth anywhere from 15 to 20 marks each. Let's see. It, again, covers pretty much everything from the course, so the list of possible topics is fairly lengthy, right? There's the material we did on Linux in the beginning in general, on bash and bash scripting, on all of the various Linux commands, the chmods and that kind of thing, so be familiar with that. Version control, of course, and Git specifically. The material we went through on software development life cycles, right, on agile development and spiral and waterfall. The design material we went through, talking about coupling and cohesion and modularity and abstraction, that kind of thing. The work that we did on compilation and separate compilation and using G++ as our specific example, right, since we've been working with that most of the term. The use of makefiles. Right, you should be familiar with that. There'll certainly be a makefile question in there. The work we've done with the C++ preprocessor, so things like the hash includes, the hash if not defs and defines and whatnot. C++ templates, the standard template library, iterators. Later on we got into Unicode with C++ and GTK with C++, so that could crop up. The material we did on bug reports, what's a good bug report and a bad bug report, and bug tracking ideas. The work on code standards, the work on code inspections, right? Debugging and debuggers, and GDB, Valgrind. Again, all of that sort of thing can crop up. The work we did with profilers and profiling code, so the work with gprof and Valgrind particularly. A lot of testing material, right? The sort of big V of testing, the idea that we've got testing as a process that we're developing and planning as the development of the code itself goes on. All of the different forms of testing we looked at, unit testing and system testing and stress testing and all that sort of idea. The test plans that we looked at, the processes for coming up with good test suites. Automated testing, some of our ideas on bash scripts for automated testing, all that can crop up. The material we got into later on localization and internationalization, right? Things like Unicode and worrying about time zones and currencies and all that sort of thing. Some of the interface material we did, right? Human-computer interfaces, the GUIs that we took a look at, the work with Zenity for bash and GTK for C++. Some of the things that we got into in terms of product deployment, right? What your rollout and installs look like, and uninstalls and reinstalls and patches and that kind of thing. Ideas on maintenance and refactoring your code, when to do that and how to do that, and some possible approaches. some of the material we got into on design patterns, maybe a little bit on the discussion we had on service-oriented architectures. Right? So there's a lot of material in there. And again, there'll be 9 discussion or applied style questions. A number of the questions might mix together areas from a couple of the different topics. If you want to take a look over past exams for some of the kinds of questions or styles of questions, again, if you go to the very bottom of the course webpage, you'll find links to the last sort of 6 years worth of exams. Obviously, since this year we're doing it through VIU Learn Online and it's effectively an open book exam, then some of the questions from past years aren't going to be terribly appropriate. And of course, some of the material changes a bit from year to year, but you should be able to get a pretty good idea of the kinds of questions that are likely to crop up. Right? And you've seen lots of my questions or exam and quiz style questions so far. The usual exam rules, same as for the quizzes so far, right? It's strictly individual. I don't mind if you do some Googling to look for ideas or techniques, but you're not allowed to ask other people for help. You're not allowed to give other people help. Right? You have to cite any resources that you use, except for the stuff that I actually gave to you. Right? Make sure you give the full URL and that kind of thing. And again, you're not allowed to communicate with anybody, whether it's emailing or messaging or video, audio, screen sharing, working in the same room and talking, whatever it might be. You're not allowed to communicate with pretty much anybody but me for the sake of the exam. And again, the usual set of links if you're having any technical issues getting going, but hopefully by this point you've all done at least 6 of the quizzes, or well, I guess at least 5 of the quizzes, and you're fairly familiar with the process, and there shouldn't be anything too terribly nasty there. As usual, make sure you contact me if you've got questions. I will try and be available as much as possible during that 12-hour span. Discord me, email me, and we'll see what we can do. And in the study period leading up to the exam, I will try and be available as much as possible. And same idea, Discord me, email me, and we will see what we can do. All right, I will leave it there for now.